All right, welcome. Today, we're going to demystify a core concept in taxes that, let's be honest, affects pretty much all of us: capital property. We're going to sort through all the stuff you own and figure out exactly where it all fits in this big tax puzzle.
So, have you ever sold something you've had for a while? Maybe an old painting, your very first car, and then that thought hits you. Uh-oh, do I actually owe tax on this? It's a super common question, and believe me, the answer can get a little tricky. Okay, so here's the game plan for today. We'll start with what this whole capital property puzzle is all about. Then we're going to dive into the three main categories: personal use, listed personal, and financial property. And finally, we'll connect all the dots and see why this stuff really, really matters.
So, the good news here is that the tax system actually tries to make this a little easier on us. It basically sorts everything you own into just three key categories. That's it. And getting a handle on these three buckets, well, that's the absolute first step to figuring all this out. All right, let's dive right into category one. This is personal use property. And honestly, it's the one that covers most of the stuff you own and use every single day. So, what is it exactly? Well, the official definition really boils down to one key word: enjoyment. If you own something mainly for your own personal use and not to turn a profit, chances are it falls right into this category. And this covers, well, a huge range of stuff. We're talking the big ticket items, right? Your house, a cottage, your car, maybe a boat. But it also includes all the smaller things, like the very furniture you're sitting on, or that piano that's been in the family for years. Okay, moving on to our second category. This one's a little different. It's called listed personal property. And you can think of it as a very special, specific type of personal property that gets its own set of rules. So what makes these things so special? Well, they're items that you own for personal enjoyment, for sure, but they also have this built-in potential to go up in value. They kind of straddle that line between just being a personal belonging and being a legitimate investment.
And you've got to know the law is super specific about this. This isn't just a vague guideline, it's a very clear, exclusive list of items. We're talking things like paintings, sculptures, jewelry, rare books, stamps, and coins. If it's not on this specific list, it just doesn't count.
And that right there makes the dividing line crystal clear. So to put it simply, if you own something for personal enjoyment, but it's not on that official list, boom, it just goes back into that first bucket we talked about: regular personal use property.
All right, so we've covered the personal stuff. That brings us to our third and final category: financial property. And this one, well, this is the stuff you own for one reason and one reason only.
And that reason is to make money. Plain and simple. The purpose here is all about financial gain. It's not about personal enjoyment, it's about the bottom line. You bought it to get a return.
Now, this includes all the stuff you typically think of as investments, right? Shares, bonds, that kind of thing. But it goes way beyond that. It also covers business assets, things like rental buildings, equipment, patents, even a plot of land, if you bought it purely as an investment and not, say, to build a cottage on.
So we've gone through and sorted everything into these three neat little boxes. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter to you? Well, it all comes down to the tax connection. See, knowing the right category for your stuff is absolutely crucial. This isn't just some theoretical exercise. It becomes incredibly important the second you decide to sell something. Because the tax rules are completely different for each category, and that is the key takeaway here. For instance, let's say you sell your car at a loss. Since it's personal use property, you generally can't use that loss to lower your taxes. But what if you sell a painting, which is listed personal property, at a loss? Well, that loss can actually be used to offset gains you made on other listed items. You see? The category literally defines the rules of the game. So now that you know the framework, I have a question for you. What's in your portfolio of capital property? Think about it for a second. Everything from your house and your car to your investments, maybe even that old coin collection you have stashed away. Where does it all fit? Because figuring that out, that's the real first step to getting a handle on your own tax situation.